Come back with abs.
You're getting fat. We need you to have abs. I think I figured it out. That's why she gives me so much water time. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the X-Foils. How do you like our song?
It was lovely.
It's nice, right? I don't know when we're going to change it, but eventually, until we get comments to say to change that intro music, we're going to keep it for sure. So I'm Dylan, your host, and I'm here with Wren. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, very, very excited to be here in this very beautiful studio in a very beautiful shop.
It's a shop, and it's our fake studio for now. So I have a long list of people that I want to get on here. I'm just kidding. It's a short list. And you're on that list. And you haven't been feeling great, but I'm glad you made it in today. So we can talk about foiling because you have a lot of foiling adventures that I'd like to talk about and how you got into it and what you've done and how you learned how to downwind and where you live and the spots you've traveled to. I was like peeking through your Instagram to get like little like head notes. So I don't have anything written down, so I don't know where we're going from here. But but I like to just talk to you and then see where it goes and what we learn about you. So we're in Puerto Rico. You're here right now, and you spend your winters here. Is that right? Or
yeah, since COVID days, my full-time job, where I make all the money that I then spend on foils, I went remote like many people, and I started this adventure of, if I can live anywhere in the world, where are the best spots? And I ended up in Puerto Rico kind of by happenstance. I knew a board shaper, Nils Stolzlechner out here, and then I had a friend starting a cool co-living house, and that was, I guess, the intersection of events I needed to pick up and move sight unseen to Puerto Rico.
And that friend is Kiko?
Oh, actually, I met Kiko here. That's my friend Jillian. I'm trying to get her to start
but
foiling.
do you live at Kiko's place or no?
I do, yeah.
Okay. But it was Jillian that had that. You lived there first.
I lived there first.
And then you found Kiko's awesome wing house.
Yes. For the audience that doesn't know, I live in a wing paradise in Puerto Rico.
all of Puerto Rico is a wing paradise.
Oh, yes, that's true. It is. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say loudly and publicly how amazing the winging is here, because everyone's like, oh man, everyone's going to find out. It's going to get really crowded.
Man,
I've been talking about.
We wish it could get crowded. Like, how could it?
Oh man, it's almost every time I'm out there, I'll be out at this beautiful break with like a deep reef, like a reef deep enough that you're never going to run into it, but it still makes a perfect wave for you. I'm like, oh, this is so wonderful. I just wish there was like one other person here, so if I really get wrecked, I won't die alone. So
you would drift right into Numeruno, I think.
That's true. I would.
And someone would pick you up.
Yeah, it's true. Luckily, there's a kite school that would rescue me.
Yeah. Someone would find you. Yeah. I mean, man, there's so many different breaks out there. I know that it's, we got to be careful of like where, what we say about what locations. They say there's secret spots, but let's be honest, there's no secret spots. And I think the more foilers, the merrier in a certain areas. We don't want our, like La Ocho surf spot to be overrun by proners all of a sudden because it's a local longboarding and surf spot. But I mean, typically foilers have a good etiquette and decent control, we'd hope.
Yeah.
But
well, it's also, it removes so much of that resource constraint. I feel like as foilers, we talk about this a lot. Like, we don't need a perfect wave. Like, when we go out there, we're going to new breaks every day. There's a few, like a handful that have names because we're used to them.
Yeah.
But then some days the waves shift just a little bit, and we're like, oh man, we found this cool wave over here, and now that's a new spot, and it also doesn't have a name. It's just a place that we go now. But with the mobility, because on a wing, like, I can go 3 miles upwind in 15 minutes, and then I have that whole range.
Well, you
of waves
can because you're
at.
super fast.
It's because I've been training with Kiko and Nils.
I
know. The folks I train with here, their upwind angles are unreal.
They are upwinders, that is for sure. I consider myself a downwinder. They are upwinders.
Things like we can get them on a reach.
Yeah.
But that angle is just not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fast.
But,
Yeah, I mean, even surfing like the inside of like a reef form of a wave is fun. just gliding. And I mean, you're into downwinding, so I don't know if it changed, but I talk about it a lot. Is that it changed when I learned how to downwind? I know where the energy flows, and I can flow on my foil so much better, and you get so much more out of it, even surfing a wave, because there's like facets and just little pockets out there that you just didn't know existed. You thought you had to be on a wave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, all these spots that back in the day I was like, oh, it's like popcorn garbage in there. Like it's just a mess. Now I get to those spots on foil, I'm like, here we go.
Here we go. Let's see how far I can go.
Let's see what I can do.
Yeah.
Because like we'll be out there, like you'll be on a wave and then
It'll change direction.
yeah, and then there's another wave, and then like that one goes into a curve, and then you're past all of the waves and you're in the chop where everything is intersecting, and that's just as much fun. It's like you're at a skate park that keeps changing shape.
Yeah. Where did you grow up?
In the desert.
In the desert.
In the middle of nowhere. About an hour and a half inland of San Diego.
Okay.
Very, very far from any sports or fun, really. Just any recreation was not really a big thing in our desert.
Was kiting your first water sports?
It
Like
was.
the first thing that kind of captivated you in the water?
Well,
Or
it was.
swimming, long
was-
distance swimming, maybe?
I didn't do anything in the ocean. I remember when I was a kid, we would go to the beach like once or twice a year.
Yeah.
But it was always dangerous because I would get in the ocean and then my parents couldn't get me out of the ocean. So I didn't realize it, but I was always
Yeah,
like an
drawn
ocean
to it.
baby. They would have to like send a lifeguard to come pull me out.
Not because you were drowning, but because,
Not because like I wouldn't leave.
okay.
But I was never near the ocean. So yeah, in my late 20s, when I finally had like, income,
Yeah.
okay, what does one do with the ocean? And all I knew about was sailing. So, okay, I'm going to learn to sail.
Oh,
And I
cool.
would be out sailing. I was living in San Francisco at the time. And I thought it'd be really cool to sail single-handed to Hawaii. That was my dream. So I took all the courses and I was doing these offshore passages in the winter in San Francisco, which was awful. It was 50 degrees and storming the whole time. And I was out on a sailboat once and I saw a kiteboarder. And I realized they were just having so much more fun than I was. Because boats are a lot of work and they're not.
Did you
great,
own
but-
your own boat?
Oh, God, no.
Oh, okay,
No.
good. I thought you were like, boats are a lot of work. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, even renting boats is a lot of
Yes.
work. Yeah, but it's not quite adrenaline filled. And as soon as I saw a kiteboarder, I'm like, that's my thing. I'm going to do that. It was my first sport. I'd never skateboarded. I never surfed. I'd never done anything in the water. I'd never done a board sport. But I saw kiteboarding.
That's
going
what
to
you're
be my
going to do.
thing.
And when was that? Do you remember the year? It's
In
not
my-
like stamped on your wall, be like, this is the day.
The day my life
I've
changed.
changed.
I used to be such a productive citizen, and then I saw kiteboarding. I think this was 10 years ago. Yeah,
Okay.
2014. That was it.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you took lessons in San Francisco, or you had been traveling, or where did you like? I guess it's hard because everyone's journey in kiteboarding, it can be very different depending on their time. Sometimes it takes people years to learn how to kite and then buy their equipment and really get into it. Unless you're like me, I saw it and I was like, that's what I'm doing. And that was it.
This is my life now.
This is my life now.
I am a kiteboarder.
Yeah.
It was closer to that. I took a few lessons in Alameda in the Bay Area. And then I just started, I didn't know anyone who kiteboarded. And it's so weird now because I'm such a part of the culture now that it's hard
Yeah.
to remember. There was a time where I didn't know anyone who kiteboarded. It was
Yeah.
very weird. So I just was Googling, where's the best place to learn? And I found this school in the Bahamas, in the Exumas. Went out there, just got like that 2-week segment.
That's
in
what
to
popped
learn.
up? The Exumas?
Yeah, SEO was weird back then.
I guess so.
Out of all the places, like I didn't see I didn't hear about La Ventana
Yeah.
or the Gorge or these other iconic places until later.
Because it would have been close to go to the gorge, right?
That would have been much more convenient. But it
Well,
was
at
great
least,
though.
At least it's warm, it's beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
So that's where you really learned how to do it. And after that, you bought your equipment and you were hooked.
I was hooked. Bay Area, San Francisco. Every weekend I would be like driving to Santa Cruz, Waddell Creek, if anyone knows that spot. Oh, it was magical. Sherman Island.
Obviously not secret spots if you're yelling it out on a podcast, right?
I don't. Those are very much not secret.
I'm kidding.
Secrets out on those.
Yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
if anyone's just finding out about those.
I've heard about them. Yeah. Is Waddell like a surf spot or no?
I guess it is.
Because I went to a wave spot. It was, where was it? I guess it was close to Santa Cruz. Pretty famous. It was a big like shore break wave. I don't remember the name. I guess it wasn't that.
It could have been. When I would usually get there early just so when the first puff of wind came, I would have all my gear ready to get in the water. And there were always surfers out there before the wind came.
Cool.
Yeah.
And when did you learn how to foil? Was that quickly after? Because there's a huge scene there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was. I tried to remember today
that's still
when I
early
learned
days.
to foil.
I learned in 2012. 2014 is still very early days of foiling. But that's when you learned how to kite. And when I first saw you here in Puerto Rico in Ocean Park, it was you. I think you were on ozone kites and you were like sitting down on your tiny little 40 centimeter McDonald's tray.
Yes.
McDonald's
the lunch tray
tray.
boards.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you were like cruising on this axis foil is what you were cruising on when you first got here.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was 4 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a couple years in. So around 2017, I started foiling. I remember I used to go to Crissy Field and watch the foilers out there. And when I first saw it, I had the same reaction that everybody does. Like, they're insane. They put knives on their board. This is already scary enough. And it's so weird now because I think of foiling as so incredibly safe now. Or at least there's a minor risk of laceration, but I feel so much less likely to have a catastrophic injury or die in the water foiling. Like, it just feels very, very safe to me now. But when I first saw it, it took me about a year to get sold on it, and then as soon as I tried it, well, you know how it is with foiling. As soon as you're up on a foil, it changes
everything. But it was very racing back then. I guess in San Francisco, it's like that. Everyone's racing, right? Everyone's going really fast. They're on foil kites. They're on race boards. They're on tiny foils. So, I mean, if I was looking at that, that would look intimidating and maybe not as enticing. But when I saw foiling, like a kite foiler for the first time, they're like cruising and doing like weird like turns and angles. And I was like, whoa, that is wild. Yeah. I don't even know if I saw many foilers before I started. Like, it just wasn't as popular. But the guys in San Francisco are just going so fast.
I'm still intimidated by that, by the ram air kites. It just all seemed a little. It was also not.
Oh, that's me. I knew it was going to happen. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. I got distracted. But ram air's scary. Everyone fast.
Very, very fast. And just a lot of equipment, a lot of expense, a lot of attention to detail. Like, part of the reason I love winging and downwinding is I'm not the biggest attention to detail person. I'd rather just throw my gear together and run.
I've seen you Windex your foil, so don't talk about attention to detail to me. Okay?
It's a Mike's Loud foil. You have to do that before you ride them.
It's like
Otherwise, Kiko will put fingerprints on my foil just so he can beat me.
Yes, because that's what it's going to take for Kiko to beat us, is fingerprints on your foil.
It's the only explanation for when he does better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's really, I'm sure you remember, because I feel like there was the big cloud kiting movement where all of a sudden everyone was showing up with the green and white kites and they were like ballet dancers.
Yes.
And that's what really drew me into foiling. It was just so beautiful and intricate and very dance-like, very flowy. It's another thing I love about foiling is I feel like like a lot of sports over time kind of take on a gendered role. Like, football feels very masculine, and then like if you look at all the money and ads for things like gymnastics, it's very feminine. But I think foiling is really amazing because it doesn't have a overwhelming strength aspect it can be any of those. You can take it down very extreme routes. You can take it down very artistic and flowy routes. So I think it is very accessible for everyone. Anyone can see it. When you look out there now, there are 8-year-olds foiling. There are 80-year-olds foiling, and it can be so approachable because it's very versatile. But that's what clinched it for me. Like,
did you rehearse that? That was beautiful.
I'm just very excited about it.
That's a really cool take. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It was the flowing for me was definitely what captivated me, and the way that you can, for kiting. Because we're talking about kite foiling, the way that you could fly your kite was you could use so much more of the wind window, right? There was just angles, and your kite would fly in different aspects that couldn't exist when you're edging hard against it, right? So That's what I really loved about it, and that you could get on the water all the time.
All the time.
And then it made crappy wind into good wind. Like, it just turned any condition into a good day.
Yeah. And it keeps happening now.
Yep.
Like and even with kite foiling, still in zero wind, you were kind of screwed. And now we have like flat water pop-ups, and we have foil drives, and we have e-foils, and there's really no bad conditions for foiling anymore.
Yeah.
Which is
Dock starting.
dock starting. I'm still working on that
I
one.
saw that. So, what's your Instagram tag?
Heart wrench. Heart_wrench.
Okay, because there's some video. There's a video of you. I remember that you were trying to learn how to dock start, and it's just you, just like on a foil trampoline for 10 minutes, just like boing, boing, boing. That's hard. I tried the dock starting thing for
Did it
5
take you,
minutes.
5 or 6 attempts?
No.
to get it?
I couldn't do it. I actually couldn't do it. I tried. It was at the AWSI with the Armstrong team.
Oh, yeah.
And Oscar was doing like a demo with all their foils and how to dock start, and I just ate crap for all day.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I got like one pump into it, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I mean, I'm assume if I was in the place and that I needed to do it, I would want to do it, or I'd have to get on a foil. But I was like, it's just beyond my skill level.
Well, it's like all things foiling. You have to be drawn to it because the learning curve is invariably, with the exception of a handful of people who I admire and don't at all hate for this, who just pick things up instantly. Generally, foiling, the learning curve, it's not gradual. You just eat shit constantly. Yeah. Am I allowed to say shit on this podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's explicit.
Oh, good. Rated
Content is not clean.
PG-13.
Yeah.
I'll try and keep it to the PG-13 swear words. But it's the same when, like when people see advanced foilers out there, or people say, oh, Wren, make that look so easy. It's because I am not a quick learner. Everything takes me so many hundreds of attempts, whether it's dock starting or learning a new trick. I have a lot of military work ethic from my family, and no aversion to eating shit a million times.
Yeah. I mean, don't make the same mistake twice. Make it 100 times on a
and
foil.
then a few hundred more.
Yeah.
And then find a new variation on that mistake and do that a few hundred times.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, the learning curve is pretty interesting for most people.
Yeah.
And you can't give up because it's the coolest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. So when you came here, you were already a foiler when you came to Puerto Rico. And where were you living? You were living in San Francisco, and you'd come here for a couple of months, or did you come here for a week and then you made it a long haul, or it was like straight away a long haul?
I came here planning to stay like 1 to 3 months.
Okay, cool.
9 months at the time. Yeah, now I come back every winter, and I will for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
a special place.
It's so nice here. It's just so okay. We've already agreed I can say good things about Puerto Rico because we're not worried about it being overcrowded. But it's like there's no sharks, there's no jellyfish, there's very few shallow reefs. You don't have to wear a wetsuit. It's just one of the few places where I feel like the water's not coming for me.
Yeah.
Like it's because I never surfed a real wave until I got to Puerto Rico, because I started kiteboarding, and it wasn't until I started winging that I actually started surfing. Even at Waddell, which was a wave spot, I kited on a twin tip, but I never really got the surfy engage with the wave feeling. But here it's just there's so many friendly waves to progress on. They're at deep reefs that are half-mile offshore, so even if you get chomped up by one, it just kind of like spits you into this nice little basin where you can collect yourself.
Yes.
It's so
funny.
It's so approachable, and for progression, yeah, there's nowhere else like it.
Yeah.
I love it here.
But these waves are pretty far offshore. So
Yeah.
So you got to get used to that, being out there and being comfortable being out there. And I think that's it's a good avenue to learning how to downwind too, to being out there and out in the open, out in those reefs. And there's not many people out there. I mean, you're at the point at which could be the closest, right, to the reef. You're at that like Punta Las Marias, and then you like go straight out. It's probably the shortest straight line to the reef.
Yeah, I think so.
But still, you're not going to drift into there.
That's true.
Yeah,
It is
but
still,
it's not that far off, right?
Yeah, I try at least once a week. I try and swim to the reef and back just to convince myself, like, okay, I lose all my equipment as long
It's
as
not
I'm
that far, yeah.
conscious and not bleeding out. I can swim back in. And I did the brag training, so I can also make a tourniquet out of like a surf leash and a flip flop. So,
Yes.
which tourniquet myself and swim in. We'll
Yeah,
be fine.
you could do that if you're wearing a flip flop out there.
Yeah, I really got to start. I got to start attaching a flip flop to my leash just in
Just
case.
in case.
Just one.
Or just put a tourniquet on there if that's the case.
But I want to show off my flip flop skills.
Yeah.
I worked hard to learn.
Have you had any serious injuries with the foil?
I
mean,
haven't.
Maybe not
no.
serious, but any injuries?
Just the
'Cause
random slice
Because
here
you wear
and
a
there.
helmet, right?
Yeah.
When you foil?
I do wear a helmet. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of helmets because I need to keep doing my day job to
Yeah.
pay for my foils.
Yeah. Everybody. I mean, if foiling is your part-time job, right? Which it is.
Yeah, it's my side hustle.
Yeah.
Like slash passion slash favorite thing in the world.
And when was it that, because now you're halftime in, I mean, Hood River, but Stevenson, right? I consider it Hood River. I don't know if you call it Hood River.
Hood River area.
Hood River area.
It's kind of like when you live in the suburbs and you say, like, I live in Chicago, even though you live in I don't know any suburbs. I don't know. I don't know why I picked Chicago. I don't know.
You don't know anything about Chicago?
But yeah, Hood
in
River
the general area.
adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Washington side is where it's at with Downwind. I'm just gonna little plug for Stevenson there.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets pretty wild over
Equidistant to
there.
the hatch, which is the important spot to be
Nice.
on wing and downwind. You know, after all the exploration, I'm
Yeah.
like, these are the
spots.
This is the perfect sweet spot.
Yeah.
Of two places to be. Because also there's such different conditions to cross train in. Puerto Rico has waves, lighter wind, like gentle, flowy, full open ocean, and then the gorge. Look, you know the gorge. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it concisely.
Yeah, it can get pretty. Yeah, that place is beautiful. We're gonna definitely have to talk a bunch about it because you're learning how to downwind is pretty cool.
Yes.
I want to talk first about, I guess, who got you into winging? Kiko and Nils, I guess, right?
So I'd started winging before I came out here. Ken Adgate,
Okay.
Johnny Heineken, and I can't remember his name. Hold on.
That's embarrassing.
I know we can edit this, right?
We could if we wanted to.
Oh no. Oh man, and Billy from F1, whose last name I can't remember. Does anyone remember Billy's last name?
Somebody knows Billy's last name. I don't know Billy. So
Ackerman. I'm really hoping that's the right name. I'm really bad with names.
Me too. What's your name?
I don't remember. But yeah, they were kind of the.
So you got to learn with those guys?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Because I thought learning with Kiko and Nils was pretty sick. You got a good group of foil friends. Damn.
Yeah, and it's like two very different styles too,
Yeah.
because you have the like kind of like trick. Oh, actually, so both these groups foil very fast.
Yeah.
But Nils and Kiko are definitely my race trainers, like the ones who taught me the rules of the road for racing.
Because you can actually catch up to them versus the other guys, or
I can't catch up to any of them.
No?
I'm just always trying, which is good. You always want to train
Yeah.
with people who are better than you are,
oh, for sure. Yeah.
which is very easy to find both in Puerto Rico and the Gorge.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many rippers out there. It's crazy.
Oh, and new ones every year. People are, and so many young people with cartilage getting into it, and they can do all the flips. I can't even wear, I broke my ankle really badly kiteboarding, and I have now no cartilage left in it. So I can't wear straps because it's really uncomfortable and it makes my ankle swell up. So
Yeah.
I can't do any of them.
Straps are overrated anyway.
Yeah.
Did you like them for racing? Straps on your wingboard?
I'll use them sometimes still for racing if I'm really careful not to get my ankle caught in them. But mostly I see all these young bucks doing
the
their
jumping.
flips, and I'm so jealous, but also very impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to jump with your wing?
I do.
Really? Yeah. I
Fly
see
through
it.
the air.
Yeah.
But instead of going, actually, I broke my ankle, I think 3 years ago. But the benefit of it is that I was still kiteboarding a lot 3 years ago, and I had to stop after that because I just couldn't handle the impact anymore. So I just started focusing on winging. And I think if I hadn't done that, I don't think I would have made the jump to downwinding or a lot of the wave riding as well. And I'm so happy I ended up in that vein of things because it's just endlessly fascinating, and it can be it's very athletic. It requires a lot of strength. So I feel like I get strong from it, but it's very gentle on my body, which is nice. For the aging foiler, downwinding and waves are very, very kind and forgiving to all of your joints.
Yeah, it's more flowy, less impact.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so it's just it is still really fun. Just harness all the power of the wind, like with a kite or with a wing, and just spring load it and leap into the air. That's awesome, and I really miss it. But on the foil side, it's like you talked about, we're finding all these pockets of energy and all these things that I never even considered before. Because usually when you think about a wave, you're like, okay, a wave it's a slope. It's a piece of terrain, and I get potential energy by being higher on the wave, and I can get momentum and curve down it. But it's not even just that. Like underneath the wave, the water is rotating and spinning, and suddenly you can feel that and you can leverage it. And it's this whole new relationship with the water, with the wind. It's so highly dimensional, and it's wonderful to engage with. And it just seems like something infinite. Like we're going to be puzzling our way through that forever.
Yeah. Like just understanding what it means and how it feels, and it just gets better and better.
This is what all foil conversations I have become. Like it's like I'm in communion with the universe.
I'm not so techie about my foils. I only Windex them, and I understand how the energy of the wave works perfectly. But that's it.
Try to understand.
That's where I draw the line.
Yeah. And when we fully understand, we will have achieved full. What is the foil version of like becoming the Buddha?
I'm not sure. It's got to be downwinding.
Yeah.
Downwinding is the ultimate, being the Buddha.
Right.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that. I am so impressed with the Gorge crew. First of all, learning to downwind in the Gorge was delightful. I tried for a week to learn to downwind in Maui, which was very difficult. Lovely time. Very great community out there. And the flatwater clinics with Jeremy Riggs were
super cool.
Incredible. But the terrain out there, like in the open ocean, it's difficult. There's energy coming from so many different directions.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Gorge, it's heavy winds, it's narrow channel, you got the wind, you got the current, and everything just lines up, and it makes it so much easier. But the people who pioneered it out there and did it on giant wide boards.
Yeah. It's
Trey,
pretty wild.
looking at you.
Yeah.
And just the resilience, man. I barely made it through that learning curve with the finest equipment crafted after years of research and development. And people, they invented it. They came up with this. It's insane.
I still, because I learned on later gear too. It was already a thing. I didn't have to figure out anything. There's information out there. There's YouTube. There's podcasts. There's paddle up clinics. There's everything. And podcast 4 is Mickey. And Mickey has learned how to downwind here.
Oh my God.
And he spent his summers in Maui, but he was doing like 15-footers, and just like how he learned how to foil trying to do that, on a sup. And like his board was like 28 inches wide. He had like a sticky mount on the bottom of his sup board that he chopped down and tried to cut with a saw, and like just wild things that you're like, damn, you did all of that and you still made it. And then there's people that are getting like the latest, greatest gear in the Gorge, which is wild. Like one day I was in the Gorge and I was just standing there and a wave picked me up and I was on foil. I was like, whoa, I didn't even want to go. And I was like down the river. That's what it felt like. I was like, what the fuck?
It was like, this is my gift to you.
Yeah, here you go, sir. And I was like on a like a swell, and it just like picked me up and threw me down. And that was it. I was on foil. And I was like, damn. That was amazing because learning to downwind in Puerto Rico was not that easy, you know?
And you guys still did it. Yeah, a bunch of the Puerto Rico crew came to the gorge last summer.
Yeah.
And
Oh, epic.
you instantly had it. And I was still like kind of kooking at that point. So
It's hard. It's a hard sport.
it's hard.
So you love going fast on your wing. You love surfing as well.
I do.
Yeah. And then also you love hanging out in the water, filming people, which is really cool. Because I see people like winging and they're at puntas or something. I'm like, it must have been Wren. Like you just like sit on your board, you take your phone out and you film people, which is super cool that you can, with a kite, you can't do that. You know, you can go out with a wing, this big wing board, you float on it, you take out your phone, you film, you chit chat with you sit by your friends and you chit chat in the water as you float, you know, for a mile.
I love that you get the little
Right.
flotillas everyone's asking about.
Yeah,
How
which
your
is-
week's going.
Which is really cool. And you've done a bunch of wing races, right?
I have. I was
You've
actually
won a bunch of wing races, which is super cool. Because like that, when we went that summer, there was the Gorge Paddle Challenge. And
Yep.
you were doing, we did the SUP foil downwind, which was exhausting.
I'm gonna my goal this year is to do all three races. Like the wing course race, the wing downwind race, and
Isn't
then
that
try and make
all-
it through the SUP foil
Isn't that
race
all
too.
in the same day? Sometimes?
It
Because
might
the
be.
wing race was in the same day as the foil downwind.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have a.
That's why
gonna
no
have
one's
to have a good
that's why no
shuttle
one's done it
service.
yet.
Really? That'd be sick. That's super
The
cool.
dream. Well, I figured there are so many great up and coming racers now who are inevitably going to be much faster than I am. But if there's one thing I can still do, it's just sheer endurance.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go for it, be in the highest number of races, even if I can't always win them all.
That's definitely something. I mean, for people that have this as their full-time job, I mean, there's just no way, like, nobody can keep up. Like, I can't keep up to all these athletes and all these downwinders and these wing races. Like, I just don't have the time and to spend on the water, you know,
Yeah.
which is,
We should do podcasts instead.
yeah, just talk about foiling.
Looking for sponsors. Who wants to pay us to do this?
I could,
We'll take a modest tech salary. Thank you.
I'm honest tech salary. That's not a bad at all. I take that over a high-paid water sports salary.
Well, it is kind of amazing that that this is a big enough industry to have full-time athletes.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's pretty exciting. I mean,
growing.
we're gonna have kite foil racing in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure wing foil racing will be soon to follow, which is I think extra exciting because, like I said, like I've been foiling I don't know how many years. I didn't do the math. 7 years, and still kite foil racing is like inapproachable. Even to me, I'm still intimidated by it. But wing foil racing,
I know.
it's like it's anyone can do it. You can just pick up and go. You can get your buddies together. Sometimes we just put buoys out here and start
Yeah.
running around.
Did you ever do any kite foil races?
No, that was very scary.
Yeah. So I've done some kite foil races.
Oh
But not crazy. I didn't have foil kites. I was doing it on my inflatables just for fun, but I entered some races and I've never done any racing format, right? Sailing, nothing. So like I'm also don't know which way left and right is, you know? so I really have to focus. They're like, okay, you got to round this buoy, you know, jibe this way, tack this way, you know, starboard. I'm like, what? Whoa, slow down. You got to draw me a picture, face me in the direction that it is. And then, so it was like, it was very intimidating to try to do that. And then being on the water and then waiting for the buzzer and having to time it and all these kites around and you're trying to stay on foil and it's kind of crazy. Like I did it because I wanted to be part of it and I wanted like, I can't enter many competitions. Like I couldn't do any freestyle competitions. I couldn't, you know, big air competitions weren't a thing back then. We didn't have the wind for it in Mexico anyways. I wasn't like great at it, but I could at least foil and I was very into it at the beginning. So I'm like, I'm a good foiler. I could race. And then wing foil racing, hands down, just so much fun because you can just hang out. You sit around on your board. You're with all your, like, all these, like, everyone's sitting in the water. It looks like a bunch of butterflies just sitting on the water. We're all just chilling there, waiting. We're like, well, it's like 5 minutes. And we're like, well, blah, blah. You're talking about what you're going to eat for lunch. And, you know, And then you just like pop up on foil and you just wing around. It's so refreshing that it's so chill. And I mean, I haven't been in any crazy like professional races. We did the one here. It was I don't know what it was. Was it it was a qualifying for some kind of a race, right? And
Yeah, for the World Beach Games.
okay, World Beach Games. And so I entered that just for fun. And it was so cool to have like these athletes come by, and it felt a little bit more intense, you know, because they're really doing it for a cause, you know, to win versus, you know, I want to win, but it's not going to take me anywhere, right? I'm not spending my money to go to races and do that. So for me, it feels really chill, but also the athletes, you can see it that it's not, everyone's just having a good time, you know, and it's very relaxing and not too many people are colliding. You did. But
I did.
no, I've seen
It was
some,
also my fault.
yeah.
Sorry, John.
That was rough. I heard that. Oh.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the wild thing to me still about, because in general, kite foil racing seems scarier. 'Cause, like, you have these really long lines. You're going incredibly fast. I
Yes.
think they go a lot, or I think they go faster in kite foil racing.
Yes.
I don't know. Some of these wing foil racers are really getting
really
up there, but it seems like a lot. But wing foil racing, it's like, okay, let's go as fast as we can on these completely silent foils, but let's also just like put a giant sheet right in front of our faces
Yes.
and then all go to the same exact spot as quickly as possible. This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I put a whistle on my foil.
Just sand it just right so you
Man,
go.
I had, because all my foils are just all beat up, so I grabbed whatever I could for that race, and I had a tail that was just mashed up in the back, and everyone could hear me coming, which sucked, because I'd be like approaching, I'm coming from the back, and they just hear me going. They're like, oh, Dylan's behind me.
But see, I wouldn't have run into you.
No, you would not have.
But I've heard something like, what is that noise?
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my first foils, race foils, was a ghost whisper from Slingshot. And I think they called it that because it just used to whistle. Like, it was really loud. And I got that because of Kiko and Nils and these guys. They were racing with their kite foils and their foil kites. And I got foil kites. I got like an Ozone R1 because I wanted to race with them. And they were like ripping up and down on their foils. I was like, well, if they're doing it, then I'm going to join in. And we would do some races down in Ocean Park and to Cabos and back. And it was super cool.
Awesome.
I mean, not as cool as winging, but it was fun. You know?
It was fun.
I still
Wait,
have that
yeah.
foil. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to try to, I should try to wing it.
Museum, definitely.
Yeah, hang it up.
I've seen, it is wild to see some of those, like the early, like the very early foils that I look at now and I think, I don't know if I could ride that with all of my foil experience. And yet, again, people invented foils.
I know. It's wild.
Yeah.
I don't have that brain capacity.
Yeah. I don't have the athletic capacity to have survived.
Trying to learn on something that you don't know is actually going to work or not, right?
Yeah.
Everything that I've ever tried has always been proven, right? So you're like, wow, I sucked 30 times at that. But there's somebody that is doing it on this equipment. There's like, it's an achievable goal, you know? But if you make something and you're trying to ride it over and over and over again, but no one's ever ridden it, I don't know how you get through that, you know?
Yeah.
That's definitely something crazy.
Yeah. Very, very lucky to have inherited all of that.
Yeah. Do you have an affiliation with Ozone?
I'm a team rider for Ozone.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. I've been on Ozone since, I remember the first time I flew an Ozone kite was at the Pismo Beach Expo, and I flew the Edge, and it kind of made sense. Like I got it in the air. I'm like, this was made by a company that makes paragliders, because it was
Just made to fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're really cool company, make wonderful, robust gear. I like to try everything. And again, like in this sport, there's a lot of great gear out there. When people ask me what gear to get, of course, like I love to have them try my Ozone stuff. I think it's great, but it's like it's like the gear you can get your hands on, and there's so much out there. It's so much fun to try all of it. There's so much cross-pollination of ideas and so much rapid development right now,
Yeah.
especially in winging. I still fly Wasp V1s sometime, which are still holding up pretty well, but just to see how much
I
things
saw
are
them on the
changing year to
marketplace
year.
for $200.
Those are my V2s. I'm keeping my V1.
Okay. Really?
My V1 is a special spot in my heart.
Okay. That's funny. Was it $200 that you're selling those wings for, or what was it? It was something cheap.
Oh, it is. Yeah. If anyone's looking for a Wasp V2, was it a 3 and a 4 meter?
Yeah, just burning the market, just putting a hole in my shop.
Sorry, they have been flown like 300 times each for like a collective 800 hours. But they're still in great condition. No repairs. I have not put a foil through them.
That's good. Because you're riding very sharp Mike Slabs, is that right?
They're very sharp.
Yeah. How long have you been riding Mike Slabs?
Oh man, that's been.
And is that what you were downwinding on also, Mike Slab?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah, which is, oh man, they're just.
It's hard to get your hands on those things. You must know some people, obviously.
Yeah, it's one of the great things about learning in the Bay Area is a lot of, Mike is out there, a lot of Mike Slab riders. Again, like Ken Adgate has been a mentor of mine for years, and someone I very much admire.
Yeah,
and
that guy rips. Oh my God.
So good.
They're so fast, those guys, him and Johnny.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and the other thing about Ken is that he really wants to invite people in. So I'll be out there and he'll see what I'm doing. He'll give me tips and then be like, okay, Wren, you're ready to do this.
You're ready to backwind faster than you can upwind.
Exactly. And then he'll give you tips on how to do it and then he'll follow me around. If I'm not doing it, I will hear about it.
That's rough. That's a lot of pressure.
Oh, no, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We have a little pod out there just playing around. We're all kids at a playground out there, just pushing each other to be better, do new things.
And is that what you moved directly from? You were on Axis gear when you were kiting, and then you went straight to Mike's Lab? Damn. Yeah. What a transition.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, especially for winging. And again, I'm not here to advertise any gear.
You can
In
advertise
fact,
whatever you want.
There's a bit of a wait list for the Mike Slab stuff. So selfishly, I should be like, nobody get it. But thing is, like, production gear, like, it's really wonderful. I still ride a lot of production foils to test them out or for towing or for downwinding and enjoy it a lot. But it's like handmade, like hand polished, like bathed in the blood of sacrifices or whatever Mike does to make those foils as frictionless as they are. Like it's just they're so slippery, especially on wing, because on wing you are providing all of the structure between the foil and the wing. Like all the power is going through your body. So I find that I just want a really fast foil. I want a frictionless foil because otherwise I feel it in my whole body.
Yeah.
So I like when I test out production foils, especially the smaller ones, like they're still really great, still really fun.
You make every other foil sound like garbage. Like a production foil, you know?
Like they're
whatever's
still
made
really
in a
good.
factory, you know, whatever those foils are.
But once you get used to the speed, it's really hard to go back. I do find that when I'm not powered up, so downwinding or on tow in the waves, I don't know how to prone foil yet. It's on my list, but you don't feel the lack of high end speed quite as much just because you're fully engaged with the wave. The power is coming from the wave to the foil. It's not being transmitted through your body.
Yeah.
So I have found that. Like I tow out here on the lift foils, which I really enjoy, the lift 90. I've done some downwinding on the lift 150, that foil is...
It's fast, yeah.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
It's magic too. It's very stable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a Mike Slab girl. I love those. I have too many of those. That's why I keep my day job.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
They keep
pricey.
making new ones, and I love them.
Do they come all in one piece? Like the front wing and the tail, everything
Front wing and the
is
tail
all
is one piece.
Wow, what a beautiful way to travel, huh? That must be tough. Like putting them in your suitcase.
I got a special box for it. I travel with my Mike Slab foil box.
Yeah.
you just arrange your life around it.
Yeah.
It's like having a child.
Yeah. And when did you get into towing? Because Hector is totally into the towing. I think he's got 2 jet skis now because of it.
So Hector's the one, he taught me to tow foil. He got me into it. Hector Westerband, shout out to you. My best friend and tow partner.
I eat a lot of his acai. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
That's my perfect day. If I were to describe my perfect day, like
Let's
like if this was
let's go through your perfect day.
If this was like a dating competition show, they're like, Wren, what is your perfect day?
Skip some details, but
but yeah, going out. Well, we're out here a lot with our little tow teams, but getting out at sunrise, out in the waves. And it's so nice when you're towing in, because you're there with you have a tow partner. You're there with somebody else, and you're sharing all that stoke. You're learning from each other. In my case, I'm mostly learning from Hector. He's very good at this, and he's been teaching me. And then, but afterwards,
I think you guys could learn some things from each other. That's for sure. When you're a team, you always learn from one another. There's not one person that's better than the other. That's always learning. Like I go towing with Walt. I go towing with Arland, and we're all at such different levels, right? Arlen's really good. Like, he's a surfer, right? So he comes from a surfing background. So he just rips apart those waves, which is crazy. But he's just a Looney Tune on the jet ski, No, it's not true. He's pretty good. I gotta throw some banter at Arlen, No, he's good on the jet ski too. But when it gets really big, it gets intimidating, right? So you got to really hone in your partner, and you're hold them forehead to forehead and be like, hey, focus, all right? Stop taking video of me, because I don't care. I would prefer my jet ski not to be rolled over, and let's rescue me after I get thrown into the popcorn. No, it's cool that it's a partner thing, and that wave is very special, and being able to get onto those those big waves, it's something that's pretty impressive, and you got to have a lot of respect for it.
Yeah. It's something I never thought I would. I just never thought I would do that. It's been a wholly new thing introduced to my life, especially the bigger waves, going out in those. I never thought I'd tangle with anything like that, and just the adrenaline, the focus it requires, the partnership aspect. You have each other's lives in your hand. It's a very, very deep bond. Me and Hector.
Yeah.
Tow partners for life.
And do you love towing, or is it there's a balance to it? Because I found a little bit of not a love-hate, but there's days that I want to go towing, and there's some days they're like, hey man, it's gonna be huge, let's go towing, and I'm like, I don't know, I get this little bit of a bounce in my chest. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go out. I don't know if I'm ready for it. I don't know if I've got the energy for it. I don't know if I love just bombing down a 15-footer for no reason, just holding on to my life. I don't know how graceful I look out there,
Oh man, yeah. It's something I think about, especially over the past few years, as I've been through injuries, through life events, and it's something that, again, I enjoy about foiling, is that we can go out on those 4 to 6 foot days and have the most amazing, euphoric, graceful, engaged day. Mm-hmm. And I remember last year, Hector and I were our challenge was go out in every condition. And if no one else was going out because it was too gnarly, Hector and I were going to go out.
I remember. I know that, because we were always out way earlier. We're always out first, right? So we get out there first before the sun's come up. And we've tried it for 4 minutes. We're like, no, we're getting out of here. And we start driving away. And then you guys pull up hey, how is it? We're like, nah, the channel's all blocked out. It doesn't look good. It's cross choppy. It's messy. It's getting windy. They're like, okay, we're going out. And then you guys go, I'm like, damn. They're going to have, it sometimes felt sketchy. I'm like, I don't really want to be out here anymore. I'm not really feeling it. So we leave. And you're like, no, we're going. And then I get an answer later. It's it cleaned up. It was beautiful. And I'm like, I don't know how much of that was stoke or if it really was beautiful,
90% stoke usually.
Yes, that's what I thought. I knew it. I knew it was garbage.
Making the best of any situation. Sometimes the session is about how perfect the waves are, and sometimes it's about how proud we are that we are alive.
Yes. I think I'm not really a surfer. I don't come from that, but I think that's a surfer thing where you're somebody leaves because they think it's garbage, and then you go out and you're like, oh, that wasn't great, but you're like, yeah, it was good. You're like, I
I
did
make
it.
good decisions.
Yes, I make good.
Generally, I make fine decisions.
That's funny. Yeah, my favorite towing days are for sure when it's smaller. 6 foot, 7 foot. Those are beautiful. When it gets like 10, 15, it's like, I don't know if I have it in me anymore. I might start surfing. I might start
like with your arms.
Yeah, I might start feeling the drag.
Like with a foil though.
No, I've
Like on a.
no on a surfboard, like on the big waves.
Okay.
Like to actually surf
That does look
them,
really fun.
right? Like
Yeah.
I've seen Alex and Hector go out there and they're doing step offs, and I'm like, I'm watching them surf the wave. I'm like, damn, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
And then it passes.
I think
I'm definitely gonna have to try it one day. One of my instructors, he works with us, Ryan. All he wants to do is surf caballos. Like anytime he's like, "You're going to caballos? Are you going to caballos?" And he wants to jump on the ski, and he doesn't mind like surfing in caballos while we tow around him because he knows us, and I know he gets a little bit of wake here and there.
Yeah, and you're giving him the ride out, so it's
I'm like, you gotta suffer.
symbiotic.
You gotta suffer through that because I'm towing caballos. So if there's other surfers out there, we don't like we move, and then I see him catching some waves, and I'm like, damn, that looks pretty good. And he always gives me a hard time. He's like, when are you gonna surf? When are you gonna surf? Because I see me through his eyes, and I'm going down this 10-foot wave, and all I'm doing is going straight, and I'm like, damn it. Do a turn so Ryan doesn't think you're not surfing. I'm like, yeah.
And in your head, you're like, whoosh.
Yeah.
But in the video, you're like, boop, boop.
Like it's just like a squiggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I like it, but yeah, I think I want to pick my days, and I'm sure every couple of times a season I'll go out in the big waves and go out there and experience it, and as long as I'm in the red like the headspace for it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, finite time is because I find what I try and do very intentionally is I don't have a ton of time for sports, or at least not the infinite time that I would like to have, and I'm not a great dabbler. I'm not great at doing things a handful of times. Partly because I'm just a little bit clumsy about things. So if in that early stage where I'm trying stuff out, I always hurt myself.
Oh.
So I try and focus try and be very focused on the few things that I want to be very good at. And
instead of spreading yourself too much.
Yeah. And I think surfing still scares me a little bit because, I don't know, it sounds like people are fighting for peak. Like, step-offs would be fun, but
Yeah.
I'm still a little bit
Jet ski.
intimidated by regular surfing, so I'm going to stick with foiling for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I learned how to surf on a foil, like prone foiling, and I love it. It's so much fun. And then now that I've done it with a foil drive, I don't know if I'm ever going to paddle into a wave again in my life. I don't know. I'm like, I've had 3 sessions now, and there's just a little piece of me that just never wants to paddle into a wave again. I just want to use the foil drive.
Okay, I got to try it one of these because that was like sorry, bringing this closer. That was going to be my next big thing because last year I dedicated to downwinding as my new thing and a little bit to racing, to that. And prone is next on my list, but if I can just leapfrog that
Yeah.
with the foil drive.
I think you got to go through it a little bit because you got to paddle in the waves and, duck dive, and being in the waves, there's a certain sensation around it, like just being with your surfboard and knowing how to read the waves and how to like just navigate and what to pick and choose. I think it's important to go out there without an added element of like a motor and a throttle, and just paddle yourself around and try to catch the waves and see where your limits are, and then throw a foil drive on it. I think that's definitely the way to go. I would suggest that, or just full on e-foil it.
Well, we'll see.
No, I'm kidding.
I feel like there's part of my head that is like, no, foiling needs to be my workout. That just precludes me from getting an e-foil. Like, I'll just rather paddle around because at least then I'm also getting my gym time in.
Yeah.
But wait, can I ask questions to the audience in podcasts? So if I could learn to
I don't know
prone
if they're gonna
foil
answer
anywhere, somebody.
Hello, Mr. Audience.
Because I feel like now I've gone through the learning process enough that I found the importance that you should just learn at the perfect spot for learning with the perfect learning conditions and just save yourself a ton of trouble, which for me, downwinding the gorge,
Amazing.
hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah. For winging in the waves, so learning waves, I cannot imagine a better spot than Puerto Rico for that. Just gentle, soft, fun size waves, not a lot of crowds. No
Yeah.
one's going to yell at you. It's like I learned waves here. But for learning to prone, like here, like the breaks near me are kind of far out. I can't really paddle out to the breaks here. But if I could go anywhere in the world, like what are the best prone surfing learning spots?
I don't know. I think Florida might be pretty good.
There's a lot of sharks there.
Yeah, but you're like close to shore. You think there's still a lot of sharks there?
I don't trust Florida waters.
No, really?
So
Yeah.
many sharks.
Did you have something with a shark there or what?
I know
Because
someone
when you
who's
said,
bit
"Oh,
by a
Puerto
shark
Rico's
there.
beautiful," there's no sharks. I was like, okay. I wish I could see sharks here. I've seen a couple in Puntas.
But they're like the friendly ones.
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
friendly, 7 foot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wait, yeah. What's the one that you saw downwinding?
Oh, that was a
a
tiger shark. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's not one of is that one? That's not a friendly one.
Well, I mean, none of them have bit me, so they're all friendly to me so far. and I had a downwinder the other day, which was extremely light wind. It was very small, and for the first 6 minutes, I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this. I saw someone like go into the distance. Mickey like went way inshore. I saw Roy and Gio like take off, and I was like, damn it. And I was like trying to get up. Randy was out there with the foil drive, and I was trying to get up, and I was so exhausted. It was so hot. And then I got up, and I was like, I'm just going to go into Punta Salinas. So on my watch, I was texting the group. I'm like, hey, I'm going into Punta Salinas. Whoever wants to meet me there, then we can taxi back to the cars, because I don't know if I'm going to make it 10 miles in this. And I think it was like 5 minutes passed, and I was like just getting to Salinas, and I was like working my way out. I'm like, I'm not going to Salinas. I'm making my way. And I found my flow and my pump, and I just made my way. And then on my way, I saw like whales. I heard them. Good thing I didn't have my music in, because I heard them their blowhole. And I look, and there's whales. I'm like, no way. And I'm trying to figure out if I can get my phone or my camera out of my bag. And I'm like, but if I fall now, I'm never getting up. Like, I'm just going to have to paddle back for an hour. So I'm like, let me just enjoy the moment. And I was foiling, and I think I made it faster than them, or they went underwater. They didn't come back again. And then I had a dolphin follow me for a mile. Just follow behind me in my wake, like just cruising. I could hear him like breach every once in a while. I'd look back and I'm like, oh, that's a dolphin. And then eventually I hit seaweed, and I came off, and a pod of 15 dolphins came around. And they just like cruised around and just hung out with me. And it was just so rad. And I didn't see a shark that time. But the sea life here, like I never saw that much sea life. And that run was one that I was going to give up on. And it turned out to be one of my most magical runs. It was insane to see that. And I don't mind if I see a shark. I've seen them before on a downwind run, like in the exact same spot in Punta Salinas where I saw the other one, and I cruised by it, and they don't even care. I'm so surprised that they don't even turn, because it's got to be loud at one point. I don't know if there's like a whistle, or we're pumping, it goes whoop, whoop. Like they've got to be so in tune with what's happening under the water, and just cruised by and nothing. Didn't even turn the head, nothing. And I saw the shark just take off. And so I'm wondering, like, do they even care? Are they interested in us or not? And yeah, in Puerto Rico, there's not. I've been out there so much, and all I've seen is manatees, dolphins, and these couple of sharks in like 6 years. It's wild.
Yeah. No jellyfish too.
No
Well,
jellyfish.
I very much enjoy the no jellyfish.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I've seen little tiny ones on downwinders, like little jellyfish. But yeah, I've never been stung by one, really.
Yeah. Yeah, the sea life out here, it is, like in the gorge, we do get the sturgeons, which are pretty cool. Every once in a while, we run into a salmon. But out here, especially with the clear waters, there's the turtles, the manatees.
Lots of turtles in Puntas.
Yeah.
Manatees I've seen, super cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and for people used to Hawaii turtles, the turtles here look for you and dive to get out of your way.
Over there, they don't? They're like, hit your foil head on, or what?
Yeah, I think they have more of like a screw you mentality.
They're like, this is my island.
Bring it on, tiny foil person.
You don't have to tell me if you've hit a turtle or not. You can just blink. don't know if people...
Definitely have not. So the ones that have their head, like the ones that are on the surface, like they see you and they dive. It's usually
The ones underwater.
yeah.
I've hit one turtle in my years of foiling. Like, I don't think it's a huge deal. Never hit anything else.
Yeah. I assume the turtle is fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like I've never like I've hit a turtle twice.
Oh no.
I don't want to say that on. I'm now banned from the internet.
Yeah.
But like not I mean, and both times I crashed him in the water and I did not see like a belly up turtle float.
I think the turtle's totally fine.
Yeah, probably fairly startled. I did feel very bad about it. But they get bit by sharks and stuff and are fine.
They're fine.
Yeah.
Foil's not going to hurt them. So your downwinding journey of learning how to downwind is kind of frightening. that you learned because of your bad ankle. You learned switch stance.
Yes.
Right?
Which just makes sense to me. Like it's the concept of having a dominant foot it just seems weird. Because I feel like you just must get so tired.
That actually, Oscar asked me that the other day, and I was like, he's like, so when you're out there and you're doing 10 miles, you switch your stance around? I was like, no, never. I mean, I don't do anything else. I mean, I can go both ways on a wing. I can, kiteboard and do tricks both ways. But when I'm foiling or like surfing or downwinding, I'm always in my regular stance. Like I don't do it goofy. It just doesn't, it feels so awkward. I mean, I guess I could train it, but I don't know why I do that. I guess to be more, versatile or, be a better athlete, but
I just wanted to make sure that my butt stayed symmetrical. Also, I would learn.
Did you do it? So are you goofy or you're regular? Do you have a preference? Obviously.
My preference is which one is right foot forward?
Right foot forward is goofy.
Yeah, that one. But on wing, I've always done both, and even surfing on wing. So I'll surf a wave in either stance, to the point where I don't really have on wing. I don't have a favorite stance. They both feel equally comfortable. Because sometimes when I started surfing both directions, I would force myself to switch, and I would remember which one I needed to do. But the last one was really easy. Now I need to do the hard one, and now I can't. I don't even remember which stance I was in because they both feel the same.
Oh, that's super cool. Because when you told me that you were learning on your switch stance, I was like, holy crap. But I guess it makes more sense that you actually do have a little bit more, balance between the two. I have nothing. Like if I stand goofy on my downwind board, I would just topple over right away. There's just, I don't even know if I could paddle that way. It's insane that's what you spent all of your downwind activities on.
Well, it helped that I had zero paddle experience at all. And no surf experience and no other. This is the benefit of having no experience at anything at all. You
don't even know. You're like, I don't know if that was my switch or not. It could be my regular. I've been switch my whole life.
Exactly. Yeah. Downwinding was the first time it became apparent to me that I had a dominant stance. In every other sport, I was like, okay, one side's a little bit easier, but it's about even. Training regular stance, I had to do about 70% of my time in regular stance for it to keep up with the 30% of the time I spent in the other stance. But I was also learning so slowly, and I was slogging through so many runs that if I switched stance, I could train twice as long because one set of muscles would just get so fatigued and one shoulder would start clicking, and it was nice to be able to switch, and then I could just go a little further.
Keep on going.
Yeah.
Keep on slugging down the river.
But once you get through that first part, because really it's the paddle up that's harder. Because I imagine once you're on foil, you'd be comfortable. You could figure out surfing in either stance. But
yeah, I guess it would probably just be the paddle up that would be very awkward. I mean, even the surfing thing. I think about it when I'm up on foil. If I'd be on my other stance, it'd be like, well, it'd be strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the paddle up for sure. I'm not very good at paddling up in the first place, so I can make it happen. Yeah, I just force it.
That's what we all just. Oh man, I love how it's always described so easily. It's like just wait for the pocket of energy, and then there's
just pop, pop, pop.
little. Yeah.
Yeah, and you put up something at one point like statistics of how many runs you did, how many hours you spent, and I did that with Gio, which was hilarious. He's like, he looked it up. And he's like, I did 800 miles in the last 8 or 9 months. I was like, that is wild. And you have some statistics like that, no? That you put up on your Instagram at one point. That
Yeah.
You have like a tremendous amount of runs in you.
Yeah, and a lot of them were not on foil. So that was the stat I was tracking, which was the percentage of time in a downwind run that I actually spent on foil, which there was a very long span of time where that was 0%.
Yeah.
It was a big victory when it got up to maybe 30%.
How'd you track that?
I used Dawn
Speed?
Patrol.
Oh, Dawn. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, Dawn Patrol for downwinding is awesome. So I know the run I was doing and how long it is, and then how much of it I was on foil for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always how I track it, is how many miles that I do not on foil and how many miles was on foil. And I love when I do put both trackers on. I put like a water sports tracker to do time and splits, because I like to know how long it's taking me to do each mile to see if I'm going faster or not. And so you can track your whole run. It does your whole line. If you're not on foil, and if you're on foil, you see your line and your speeds. And then I do the Dawn Patrol one to see, because I love when you pull it up and it says you did 10 miles and it says 1 wave, and you're like, yes.
Yes.
That's the best. Like when you pull up your Dawn Patrol and it says 1 wave, and you just did an hour on foil, and you're like, that is the coolest shit ever.
It's so mad. I still can't believe.
That's the only reason
yeah.
I downwind is for the Dawn Patrol 1 wave session.
Yeah, they should have a little crown,
Yeah.
little crown for that, because it's designed for surfers, and I think in the surf world that would be a very weird thing to see.
You're like, I got 1 wave, and they're like, people don't understand. They're like, what do you mean you got 1 wave? You're like,
Yeah.
well, it's just one time I got up and I stayed up. Like, well, it's only one time. I don't get it. It's like, okay, whatever. It's got a motor. Forget about it. That's what
Yeah.
you got to tell people when you ride a foil.
Whereas that like 2-mile run I did where I had like 16 waves, that was a real bummer.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's progression, right?
Yeah, it's exercise. That's what I always tell myself when I'm really slogging. Like, this is like being at the gym.
Yeah, I do not go to the gym. And I've for periods of time through my life, I have gone to the gym. I used to do CrossFit. My brothers are totally into that. That's all they do. And I don't actually do anything. And I really prefer it that way, that I get all of my exercise from my sports. And then I can feel it. Like if there's a week of it like raining or there's no wind or I'm really busy, I can see that I get I get fatter, I get like sloppier, and I'm like, damn. And then I go out in the water for like, there's a week of wind. I do a downwind, like 3 downwinds in a row, and I go surfing in the morning. That's it. I'm back in shape. And I'm like, there we go. That's all I got to do is just stay on the water. I think that's why my wife lets me go. She's like, go to the water now.
Come back with abs.
You're getting fat. We need you to have abs. I think I figured it out. That's why she gives me so much water time. Yeah,
There
that's
we go. Mystery solved.
Yeah, mystery solved.
I do love downwinding for that. I was talking to, I think it was Trey in the gorge, and he was saying, yeah, like downwinding's, like it's getting kind of easy now. It's like not a lot of energy expenditure, and I was very alarmed by this. I don't think I'll get there for several years.
Yeah.
But you can get there with downwinding, which just means we need to invent a sport that is somehow even more exertion than downwinding.
He just needs a smaller foil.
I've seen him go out there on like, I swear it was like a 50-liter board, like
really?
a sinker
Yeah.
board downwinding.
Yeah, that's so
Which is-
cool.
yeah,
that's what's so cool about the gorge. It's like, it's so impressive, the downwind runs that you can do there. It's insane. If anybody wants to learn how to downwind, I'm sorry, you got to go. You've got to do it. When I went there, I was just like watching these guys learn. Like, I wish that I could learn in that. It was crazy because learning in Puerto Rico was it's not super easy. It's pretty intimidating. I mean, I felt fine. Like, it wasn't intimidating for me, but it can be. Like, if you're not used to being out in the water for long periods of time and like paddling flat for miles and miles offshore, you know.
Yeah, and you have to get out there to begin with. So
you gotta
got to
paddle
go out.
like a mile. You gotta go out through the
down.
reefs. You gotta go down. You gotta find your way in. You gotta there's a lot of navigations going on versus you're in a river, and you got a highway on either side of you. I guess you wouldn't float downstream because the river is going the other way, right, to the wind, most of the time. The predominant or no?
Depends on the time of year and the wind.
Yeah, when I was there, it was always blowing. Like when you're looking out at the hatch, it's going down towards the event site. I don't know what direction that is, but it was predominantly like that, always. So I'm like, and that's the opposite to where
Yeah, the
river is
current going the
Yeah.
opposite way.
Yeah, and that's why the waves just stack up so much.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, and so you haven't been downwinding in Puerto Rico.
I have attempted to downwind in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I have not succeeded at downwinding in Puerto Rico.
No, not one run, but you do caballos to puntas.
I have.
Hector hasn't done it in a while either.
I think
He's got to get back on it too.
He was out there the
Man.
other day.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
He just did a run.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
He didn't post it.
So
Or he
did
didn't
it
say
even
anything.
happen?
So did it even happen? I mean, I would expect that he'd say something because we're in a chat together, like with a bunch of downwind guys, and he's still in it.
Yeah.
And he had a bunch of boards. He
Wait,
went
there's
to
a
Hood with
secret.
us.
There's a secret downwind chat in
It's
Puerto
n-
Rico.
it's not
that
a
I know.
secret.
Do I have to get? So I've done downwind runs here. I just slogged the entire time.
Yeah, it's not super active. Like I set up a WhatsApp chat and I put a bunch of people in there. I'm like, hey, we're doing downwinders, let's go. And there's a few people that got active in it, and then a couple people like Kiko was in it at one point. He's like, I want to be in that chat. I'm going to learn how to downwind. And then after like a few weeks of him not downwind, I kicked him out. Is what I did with everybody. So it's not very many people left in there.
Yeah.
I was like, you're not downwinding. Bye bye.
Yeah.
It was,
Well,
I was,
yeah.
it was a little bit ruthless, that chat. Who
Yeah.
was that, Kiko?
Yeah.
I asked
We haven't
Kiko the
gotten
other day to come in and to do a podcast with me, and he was like,
you gotta get
yes,
him.
what time? I'm like 5:30. He's like, I'm on my way, and he was with his wife. It took
Yeah.
longer than expected, and I haven't rescheduled with him, but I like it that we're building it up because on I think it was podcast 1, episode 1, we talked about Kiko. Number 3, we talked about Kiko. Number 4, we talked about Kiko. Now number 7, we're talking about Kiko. And then everyone's like, who's this Kiko person? You know, it's
Oh,
like just
man.
build up this, you know, like
You
Roy.
gotta get him in here.
Like
Yeah.
also it's a Roy thing. Roy's on he hasn't been on this one, but he's been on, now he is.
Now
He's
he
been on
is.
every single one. People are like, who is this Roy guy? It's like, yeah, well.
They're gonna meet the whole cast of characters. Yeah.
Yes.
Kiko's.
The whole
Kiko
Puerto
is
Rico crew is
amazing.
going to be on here at one point. It's going to be
Yeah.
so cool to like hear everybody's story and why they love it so much, and the foil, like the hype is just so high. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And everyone's doing their thing, right? Like you can have a downwind group chat, but you know, to line it up and everyone's doing their thing, it's, you know, foiling's everybody's part-time job, so so everything else kind of gets in the way. So it's hard to line it up, and everyone's skill level is so different. For downwinding, it's hard because everyone's skill is different, and then you're trying to line up the cars and the transport, and you know, like meet up at certain times. And if you add like 7 people to it that are all different levels, you got to leave cars different places, and it's a whole day thing. It's a 12-hour ordeal to try to line up a downwind with 7 people here.
Oh man.
Right?
Yeah. I keep waiting for it to get big enough that we have shuttle services and
That'd be
and like
sick.
a support industry around
I
downwinding.
know. I've thought about it. Like I've got that Sprinter van in the back. It's a 15-seater. I take out the 2 rows in the back. It seats like 8 people, and it's got so much room in it. Eventually, I'm just gonna hire a driver, and we're just all gonna pitch in, and it's just gonna be our downwind shuttle bus.
Count
I'm
me
gonna
in.
like sticker it up, downwind bus. Like that'd be sick. I'd be so stoked with that. There's just not enough people yet, so we got to get on it.
Yeah.
Gotta motivate people.
Yeah, it's growing so quickly. I've been astonished by winging already and how quickly so many spots have become either predominantly or completely wing based that used to be kite spots.
Yep.
And then places that are wing spots that were never kite spots because they were windsurf spots where you can't launch
Yeah.
kites. And now with downwinding, it seems like I don't know. I'm curious if it'll have the same trajectory because winging is a little bit or is a lot easier to learn, I think, than downwinding.
Yeah.
But it's just downwinding is so addictive in an indescribable way that's really hard to sell people on when they're in that learning phase. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
curious because you've seen, I mean, you have a school out here, so you've seen
Yeah.
people learn all of the different sports. What are your thoughts on where downwinding's going?
It's hard. I mean, if somebody's never done it before, then they see us come in from runs, or they're watching us like pop up at El Perro at this spot that's really good for like learning pop-ups. They're like, oh, I want to do that. And then you explain to them what it is about and what it entails. And then even in my head, I'm explaining to them, I'm like, oh my God, how am I
Even saying the
like,
name.
how am I going to get this person into this
Yeah.
sport and help them excel in it? They need to hire someone like a full-time like a gym coach, you know? Like that's what you do. It's like 3 times a week you hire out Dylan and you're like, we're going to learn how to downwind, and you have to do that like a clinic. If not, if you leave it up to somebody to do it on their own, it's not going to happen. Like that's why I hound people so much with kiting, even with kiting, winging, all the lessons. I have everybody's number. I look at the screen, I look at my bookings, and I hound people. I'm like, hey, when are you coming back? You know, also, you know, it fuels my business. Like I need people to take lessons. I need it, but also they need it, right? Life gets in the way. They wanted to. Like I know when they came into the shop, they bought a 12-hour package or whatever, and they've only done 2 hours, and it's been 2 weeks. I'm like, where are you? Like, you're not going to learn how to kiteboard like that. You're not going to learn how to wing like that. Like, where are you? You come in, hey, it's windy today. Hey. And it's only been a few people that have said, hey, Dylan, stop texting me. The others, I assume, either just completely ignore it or they actually learn how to kiteboard, you know, or actually how to do these sports. So for downwinding, you need a lot of hounding. You know, you need to have that drive in you initially and want to do it. You know, like everyone's got to go back and listen to Mickey's podcast, which is episode 4, because he learned how to foil as a downwinder. Like that's what he did. That's what he wanted to do. That's what he does. He wings now, right? And he sup surfs and foil surfs. But initially, that's the reason he got into foiling, was because of downwinding initially. And the gear was not there, the boards were not there, and then he did it. And I mean, you can tell with his personality and how he grabbed onto certain, like the sports that he's doing and how he's doing them, that, I mean, he's just a stubborn, like, that's what I'm doing, you know, like, and the gear that he still goes through, it's insane, you know, but yeah, you've got to be really want it for yourself. If not, it's just not going to happen. For winging, kiting, you know, you can want it just a little bit, you know, and fly a kite here and there and, you know, lose a little bit of progression every month if you're not on it. And eventually you'll get there. To downwind, you can't do it once a month and expect to downwind, you know, once a month. Like kiting, you can go and kite once a month, and you can go kiting. You can go winging once a month, and then you will be winging. You go out downwinding, you're like, you know what? Today I'm gonna downwind today. Yeah, you know, and you haven't done it, or you, it's just
that's not what the voice in your head sounds like. It's like, we're going downwind. Yeah, let's get it.
You gotta kind of psych yourself up for sure. Yeah, I love that feeling, and that's why I think I'm so drawn to it, is because it gives me that, like that feeling of excitement. I get it still from kiting and from winging when it's really big, or towing with a partner when it's really big, or when you're just towing in general. Kiting when it gets really windy, I get that like this anxious feeling, like, oh my God, I can't wait till I can get on the water. And I get this feeling, it's not being nervous, it's just this like this buildup of like excitement that it's kind of, it feels like anxiety, you know, almost. And I still get that from kiting, like that feeling, and going winging and downwinding. I still feel that every run. It's like, did I pick the right equipment? Are we going to do the right run? Am I going to make it? You know, am I going to beat Roy? These are things that I think about. And so I think that's why, I guess that's why you get into any new sport and discipline, like when you're so addicted like you are, you know, it's that new challenge and that feel that you get from learning something new and prevailing and doing something so few people can actually do, you know? I mean, although that you're around all these amazing people that can do it, right? And then it's something to look up to and be, damn, I could be doing that, right? Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have a lot of like super cool people around you. The people that you've surrounded yourself with are, and you all amazing athletes, right? And then you all grow together and just like excel in these sports. So it's really cool. And that you've found, you know, Puerto Rico as a base for now. Like who knows what changes, and then you're not Hood River suburbs
Hood
of
River
Chicago.
Adjacent.
You know, but like I tell most people that come into the shop, if they want to learn how to kite, I'm like, yeah, just be careful. It could change your life. Like, that's the reality. And they're like, stupid sales pitch. I'm like, but I'm serious. Like, you learn these sports, it changes your life. Like, you learn how to downwind, it changes it changed how I see things, and it changed my life again. Right, that is my life. Right, it's not my part-time job; it's my full-time job is to do these things. Right, not to do them, but to live it, and that's just what I've chosen for myself. But everybody else as well, if they're not in the industry, they feel like they're still part of the industry. Right, you're not totally in the industry, but you're a team rider for Ozone, and then you're hooked up with Mike's Labs, or whatever, the guy, and then you're with this, Ken and, Johnny and all these guys, and then Kiko. And it's just like, it's crazy that you can be so like embedded in, and I think that's foiling, right? It makes everybody so close. It's such a close community so far, and everyone's just frothing on it. Kiting's kind of expanded beyond that, and there's weekend warriors, but foilers, they really just kind of like grab onto it and take it, and it really changes your life.
Yeah, it does. I mean, yeah, I have. Oh man, yeah. A lot of my life now is oriented around being in these spots with these.
I mean,
the best conditions, the best people, and it's just so indescribably invigorating.
Yeah, I mean, why would you live here then? If you didn't want to be in the water. That's when someone comes in and they're like, yeah, I've been here for 2 years. I'm like, well, what do you do? I don't understand. Like, do you go to restaurant to restaurant? Like, what do you do?
Brunches.
I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
Some people stay up past 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. I always, yeah.
with other humans. I don't know, the dance and stuff. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to change my beginning intro and outro song to the Moana. Bring me back to the water.
Yes.
Every time I'm like, and it just, they've said it many times in this podcast. It's drawn me to the water, and I'm thinking of Moana. It's like, bring me back to the water. I'm like, that's my intro and outro song.
Me. Yeah.
Yes.
It calls all of us. Oh man, it is nice too. Like, we have this built-in community. We can go anywhere in the world and show up at any beach, and I'm sure we'll run into people we know.
Yes.
Who are just as excited as we are.
Or not. Again, I just keep on referring to these people that come in here and that want to get into these sports. And I'm like, why did you come to Puerto Rico? Oh, it's a cool place to travel to and check out the bars. I'm like, that's cool. But
what do people do on land?
I don't know. That's what I just don't know what people do if they're not in the water.
This is another question for the audience.
Yeah. If you're not into water sports, what is it that you do? This is trivia. But I'm like, it gives you like a real reason to go somewhere. Like, I know there's, you can go sightseeing and the pyramids and this, that, but like, if you're going somewhere beautiful, you find somewhere windy, then you find all these like-minded people, right? You can show up on a kite beach, pump up your kite and be like, hey, I'm Dylan. I'm a kiteboarder. What are you? And they're like, well, I'm a kiteboarder too. Like, damn, like we have so much in common. Like, you could be my friend.
40% of our lives overlap.
Yeah, and then it's not, the sports are not, I wish the access was cheaper, right? Getting into it and these sports, and eventually it will be. The right now is a great time to get into water sports. Anybody that is not into water sports, equipment is on sale.
Got my used Wasp V2s.
Yes, that too. But it's, we're like, the water sports industry is just blown up with equipment that is on sale. So it's a great time to get in right now, and at a much a reduced price, because there's brand new equipment that's top of the line that is on sale. And
it's evolving so quickly. Because when I got into kiteboarding, the gear had basically stabilized, and I could have a 5-year-old board, a 5-year-old twin tip that's basically equivalent to the newest twin tip, and it was adequate. Now, every year, the shapes we were working on with Nils are totally different, and at AWSI you see totally different shapes, and the wings. Oh my God! All right, I don't know how they keep getting so much better every year.
Yeah, this next AWSI with in the convention for the water sports industry is going to be, I think it's going to be probably one of the most exciting. It's every year has been kind of cool, but I think there's so much tech that's happening right now and materials and stuff that's going on. And I follow it in the kiting too. Twin tips, there's not much tech changing and stuff like that, like you said. But the kites and everything, it's crazy how much they're like developing, and the big air is how it's changing the market and people getting into it, and people want out of a kite and what they need out of it. So there's like this, which is kind of cool. And I think maybe that's what happened to windsurfing back in the day. It's like, you know, there's this entry level, and then it starts to get all this techie and carbon booms and super expensive and crazy. And then it kind of separates the market. And then it's like the entry is so difficult to get into because the equipment is so high tech and expensive, which is nice that kiteboarding and foiling, there is this entry level stuff that's cheap and it's just material sewn together. And then there's this like crazy astronaut NASA tech that you could buy for $3,000 if you wanted to, like if that's what you want, the best. So there is like an entry for both. And I think it separates a bit the market, which is important for, you know, the shops and retail and for the consumer that they feel like they've got options, and then the entry is easier. But yeah, eventually the entrance will be easier and there's going to be more people into it. But yeah, it just changes your life. It changes how you and why you want to travel, and the people that you meet is where I was going with this equipment thing. And the entrance is that these people can afford to travel. They can afford to buy these gear. So it's a good community of people, you know, that are in these sports, you know. They're spending their day job to pay for their part-time job, which is these sports. And that's kind of what it turns into, is like, that's all I want to spend my money is all these toys, right? That's all I do. I don't have any other hobbies that would take up my cash. I don't buy nice big TVs. You know, I buy a 12-year-old truck because I know I'm going to throw foils in the back of it, you know, like, and drive it down a rocky road. Like it's my tool to go foiling and
I pack sandwiches in my van.
Yes.
No time to go to a restaurant. You know how long restaurants take to make food? I could be foiling that whole time.
Yeah. Oatmeal, cold oatmeal.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to mention? Any of your great achievements of racing, or what you're actually looking forward to in the winging and racing or downwinding, what you've got coming up? What's cooking?
Oh, man. Well, I'll be headed back to the gorge probably in a month or so. Mm-hmm. I'm still really stoked on downwinding.
Yes.
I spent a lot of last summer learning it, and then by the end of the summer, we were doing the longer runs. I think like a 30-mile run was my longest.
Damn, that's wild.
Took me a while. It was not one wave.
The 30's a lot.
Several waves.
That's like double my longest run.
Yeah. Well, you'll be out. We'll do it. We'll do it together this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be there. I don't know what the AWSI is. It's usually September, which is kind of like winding down. But I had some good runs. It was kind of quiet then. This year, instead of going, because we went in June last year or July. Do you remember what month it was?
I think it was July. It was July because it was the same as the Gorge Challenge. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was July. Walt is going this year. I won't because I'm having a baby boy born in like that, you know, that section right there. So I got to stay home with the fam. Not unfortunately, but that's just life right there. But we did plan a trip to Maui. So I'm going to Maui in August, which I'm super stoked on. Like end of July, beginning of August. So that's going to be sweet. So I'll miss that section of Hood, which I know is really good there. But it's starting to ramp up right now. I saw some Instagram posts that it looks like everyone's fired up. Downwinders are starting. People are taking off the gloves.
Oh, good. I can go back. I don't mess with it while there are gloves. Yeah, my gorge chats have been going pretty wild. So excited.
So a month's time, you're back in the gorge area, suburbs.
Yeah, back in the suburbs of Hood River. That and just the technology is still changing so much. We're all experimenting together. I know there's some new Mike Slab foils I'm really excited to try. New board shapes that we'll be trying out.
Nice.
It's just it's still changing so much. And like you said, there's investment in this. Like, there's enough of a market to support crazy R&D. Like I've been trying the fusion wings, the new Ozone ones that are like the ram air kites
double
but
skinned.
A wing.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's just you don't realize how much turbulence you get on a normal wing until you for the first time fly a wing that doesn't have that concave area.
Yeah.
But then also back out on like the super durable, like even the wings that we consider like entry level. Like my favorite wing, this is slightly controversial. My favorite wing is my 3-meter ozone fly, which is like basically their intro wing. But it like, and I just feel like
it's a 3-meter.
that's 3 meters are always.
Do you
great.
have any other 3-meter?
Oh, I only one 3-meter wing.
Oh well, I guess
crazy.
yeah, you're in Hood, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I have one 3-meter. That's my favorite wing. Also, if I'm riding a 3-meter, that is my favorite
I
wing.
have like 5 wings in the 2 to 3 meter range.
Yeah, that's crazy. Nice, nice.
But yeah, even the
Good to be on Team
gear,
Ozone, huh?
it is. They need testers
Yes.
who will really beat up the gear. But yeah, even again, like even when I take my Wasp V1 out, it's still really fun. Like it's still quite performant.
Yeah, I took out a V1 wing the other day because we still have V1 wings from North in the school. I was like, damn, it's not. I mean, a lot has changed over the years with all these wings. The WAS, I've tried those, but still, it's like once you're on a wing.
Yeah, it's like foiling is just so much fun.
You're like up
that
on
it's-
foil, you're like, this wing's not so bad. It got me on foil. Yeah, duh.
Now I'm on foil. Everything is great. It's like we get all of it. The really high end and this pushing the edge of the technology, but also it's just so much fun to be out there that like so when my friends want to get into it, it is easy to find entry level gear or used gear that is really affordable. And sure, it's like it's still not quite at the skateboard or surfboard level of affordability.
Yeah.
But when you look at the sports that feed into it, it's not just surfing. It's things like sailing, like the racing.
Yeah.
These are kids who otherwise would be out like lasers or other small boats. And a wingfoil setup is far more convenient than hauling a boat around.
Yeah.
Or from windsurfing, which is, again, pretty heavy, expensive, difficult to carry gear. So there's a lot of different inlets to it.
Yeah, a lot of different influences of different sports coming into it. Yeah. Love it. Gotta love the foiling. Yeah.
Foiling's the best.
And this wasn't supposed to be a foil podcast.
Oh yeah, sorry. What were we supposed to
We're
talk about?
tech. We're just a tech podcast.
Oh,
You didn't know? No,
I was lured in here. You want to tell me what you think about foils for several hours? Like, yes,
Yes, please.
That's what I was going to do tonight anyway.
No, it's called the X Foils just because I love the name and I wanted to do like a foil podcast, but I just feel like it's such a small market. I'm like, who's going to be listening to this is just foilers. I wanted it to be water sports, but all I can really like hone in and like talk serious about is foiling.
That's all we want to talk about. Like, listen, we will personally know everybody who.
And whoever's not a foiler that comes on here, the question's going to be, why aren't you foiling? That's got to be, and that's the real X Foils is like, why are you not foiling versus why are you foiling, Yeah.
I'll be really impressed if somebody who doesn't yet foil has made it to the end of this podcast.
Oh, there's a few, but it's just my mom.
Well, does she foil yet?
No. But she'll
She
listen to
could.
the whole thing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Wren, thank you. It was super fun. And I know you have a ton of things that we could touch up on, but I think we got a good base. And I'm super happy that you came into the shop / studio today and talked about foiling and your adventures with us. So thank you.
It was very fun. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely.
Watch
Yes.
this.